Hey guys, so I've had a video request from one of our subs to put together a guide on how to fight against the undead. I can tell you for a fact those terror tests really messed me up. What I've done is taken a little bit of in-game footage against the undead and combined that with some specific undead vampire related tips to help your warband out. You're listening to Hydra, let's get into the game and see what we've got going on. So as you can see, we're deploying on the south side of the map, tightly around our war wagon. What I've done is fast forward in a few turns to just move us a little bit closer to the enemy. You'll notice I'm quite entrenched and encamped in a specific area, and I'm doing this on purpose. I've noticed I'm against the undead, and I've decided in this map to turtle. So this leads neatly on to my first and most important tip. You can actually bypass fear and terror tests by using a ranged weapon. That is because fear and terror tests are only taken when engaged in melee with a target. So, you might even want to equip some of your warband with a ranged option in their secondary weapon slot just for these situations. Take for example the following clip, where I have my more expendable warp guard forming a bottleneck around the front of this gateway, and I have my hero and ranged unit at the back doing most of the damage to this enemy approaching via Overwatch. So the advantage of this formation I've taken is that only 1 to 2 enemy units will ever be able to engage me in melee at a single time, giving me an automatic numbers advantage in melee. As well as this, I have a really clear line of sight for my ranged units, so they can constantly use their aim function and have a reasonable chance at hitting the enemy. And in addition to this, my melee units down on the floor are also resting in their dodge and parry stances, meaning that if an enemy does charge me, I have about a 1 in 3 chance of mitigating that damage entirely and having a counterattack against an enemy that doesn't have their defensive stance open yet. Okay, so you'll see I've finally grown a pair. I've decided to move out of my little rat hidey hole. I've taken out 2 units in there, 1 hero, 1 henchman, and you can see I have a huge advantage in terms of the morale check of the enemy already. What you'll see though is I'm still keeping my warband really close together, ranged units at the back. Everyone will be in range of supporting each other, and also everyone is on their overwatch and defensive stances, giving me the best opportunity to get a favourable engage against the enemy. Let's watch and see what unfolds next. Okay, so what you'll see here is me with my leader thinking about charging the enemy vampire who is resting inside ambush stance. However, I do have a larger charge range, but oh no, I make a blunder, I move too close and he ends up charging me. This isn't actually a good sign as I take a huge hit from him, and to make matters worse, if I go for that counterattack, he's going to attack me again and I'm probably going to die. So what I end up doing is I delay. I'm going to wait for my henchman to move around, wait for my henchman to attack him, absorb that counterattack damage, and then hopefully my leader can make a decision as to whether he should be attacking or maybe even running back to his little hidey hole. So a little bit of a blunder there. You can see I've clearly been punished for it. You have to be careful. Okay, so fast forwarding a little bit, both of these warp guard have also failed their terror test, so neither of them are going to be doing anything useful to this vampire. This isn't looking too good for my melee combat, but fortunately I do have enough points with my leader to still run away with my tail quite literally between my legs back to the hidey hole, henchman covering my retreat, but don't worry, there is still a plan in place. We still have 2 ranged units that can pepper away at this vampire. All my other henchmen need to do is stay alive for long enough for my warp pistols and my shuriken to do some damage to their leader. We have the numbers advantage, so there's only 1 or 2 extra henchmen that may be coming to reinforce. We should be able to soak this damage and keep on trucking. So, having just watched 2 of my henchmen fail their terror tests 2 turns in a row, I think now's a good point to talk a little bit about the leadership trait. The leadership trait naturally increases your chance of passing any psychology tests by 3% per point invested, and I would recommend that you have at least 1 melee henchman or hero, ideally both, investing into leadership within your warband. This is because you will get some amazing skills through this tree, some really useful things like insult and demoralize, and again these targets are automatically going to be much better suited to engaging these rather scary looking monsters. As well as this, you may also note that some of your fear-causing units themselves will be immune to psychology, so this mainly applies to Chaos, but there are some specific unique units within the game that are also psychology immune. But please note, psychology immune and all alone immune are two different things, so those Chaos Warriors, they're not actually immune to psychology, although they will not run away. Okay, and moving back to the game, you can see my leader has finally passed his leadership test. He has finally passed his terror test, so he can actually go and hit the enemy now. Worth noting that having passed, he doesn't have to roll again this turn, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my leader back into combat and actually use him to apply some damage now. If I hadn't retreated with him, he would definitely be dead by now, so it just goes to show that sticking together, having multiple expendable henchmen that can soak some damage around your leaders is incredibly important. As well as this, the ranged units have really helped. Without them, this vampire would actually still be on 100% health. So these warp lock pistols have been incredibly powerful this game. Guys, I hope you have found this information fairly useful. I really just wanted to emphasise the importance of sticking together, the importance of having ranged units, the importance of micromanaging your units correctly and carefully. I would also like to give a special mention, a very special mention to Bugman's Ale, which I didn't have any of, but I would have liked some, because that's really useful to help pass those psychology tests. And lastly, a little mention to the characters wielding pendants in this game. I couldn't afford helmets for everyone, there weren't enough helmets for everyone, but I did pick up a few pendants which increase your psychology results by 5%, which weren't actually very useful in this game because my henchmen failed every test, but nevertheless, those pendants deserve a little mention. Now, I hope you found the video useful. Remember to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed the analyst sort of version of videos, please let me know. I'm happy to do loads more. I will see you next time. You've been listening to Hydra.